Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This video is by viewer request, and someone asked me how you buy knives at knife shows. And while it might seem fairly obvious at first, there is quite a few things that you have to learn and that you don't want to get wrong. And so we're going to kind of go through those. We'll talk about production and custom. Hopefully this is helpful. And the point of this video is not for me to be right. The point of this video is to share good information. So if there's something that you guys feel that I've said incorrectly, mischaracterized, or you'd like to qualify, clarify any of those things, then by all means do so in the comments section below. I have this nice little notepad that I stole from my wife. We're going to take notes with the discontinued Zero Tolerance 0010 BLK pen. Oh, that's weird, I bent that. Anyways, so we're going to go through, let's talk about production knives. So I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to read this or not. Sure, why not? Okay. So here's the first thing that I want to clarify is that not all production knife companies bring knives to the show to sell. So, selling knives, question mark. We don't know if every single knife company is going to bring knives to sell. They simply might be bringing knives to show. And the reason for this is obviously manpower, logistics, point of sale services. Sometimes it's better just to bring something, two examples of everything in your lineup, let people handle them, let people try them out, and then if people like them, they can go to any one of numerous dealers, perhaps at the show or perhaps online to pick up the knives later, but it's enough just to be able to handle the knives at the show and decide if you like it or not. Benchmade, Blade Show, I don't think they had any to sell. I think they just had the lineup for people to handle. I think it was the same with ZT, but I'm not 100% certain. Either way, preparation is your best friend. So are they actually selling knives? That may or may not be the case. Now again, if there's something that you really want that you tried at the show, some of the major retailers like Blade HQ, GP Knives, DLT Trading, etc., 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 they have booths at the show, and again, most of the time they're there to sell knives. So you might handle something at the ZT booth, you fall in love, like the which one is this? The 0470, you might decide you absolutely have to have one. ZT's not selling any at the show. You walk over to the Blade HQ booth and they have these for sale. So again, preparation is key. Find out ahead of time. That way you're not disappointed. The other thing is show specials. So sometimes, and this is not always the case, but sometimes companies will have really cool deals on their knives. So, for instance, this is the Guardian Tactical Recon 0035. This is a $280 knife at Blade Show 2019. They had a limited number, but they had some of these with the blue anodized handle and like a stonewash blade, $450 instead of the normal $280. Pretty smoking deal, pretty incredible value for the people at the show, and that's totally fair considering it cost me about $1,000 to show up at Blade Show. It's nice that there's some cool things there, and I didn't pick one of the show specials up, but you guys get the point. Another company that's certainly well known for doing this is Microtech. They'll have one single knife on special, all the rest is regular price. Now, are knives discounted? And the answer to that is typically no. God, I hope I'm spelling correctly. So are knives discounted? Usually not. In fact, some companies are charging full MSRP at the show, whereas if you go to a dealer, you're going to get it for a reduced price, like instead of 100% MSRP, it's like 80% MSRP. So again, if there's something you really like, and you're at the show, it might behoove you to pull out your phone and see what it is at the various dealers. Yeah, you don't want to be overpaying for a knife simply because you're at the show. But other than that, knives are typically not discounted. They're going to be at MAP pricing, manufacturer advertised pricing, or potentially full MSRP. in just a few instances. They may have show specials, and then discounted knives. None of the major brands. Again, one-offs might be some of the overseas manufacturers that are newer, probably out of China. So that's that one. And that's pretty much it for the production knives. Hopefully that answers most of the questions that you guys might have. Again, preparation is key. Look at their Instagram or their Facebook, or ask questions, call their customer service. They'll figure it out and they'll let you know, and so you know how much cash you're bringing, that sort of thing. Now, the custom knives, this is the one where there's a lot more options on how they potentially sell their knives. So the one that people really get excited about is first come, first serve. Oh, I typically write better than this. Essentially, this means that if you can get to the table quick enough, it's just there, it's for sale, you hand them the money, you take the knife, hey, here's $1,200, give me the knife, boom, I walk away, I've got a new knife. For really in-demand makers, that's a really cool way to where you're not having to go out and buy it on secondary and pay double the price or a 50% markup over table price. That is table price. So that's what you commonly hear and refer to as table price. First come, first serve. Okay. The next one is going to be a lottery piece. And this is the one where people think that stuff is free, and it's not. So a lottery piece means, hey, I've only got one knife here. Let's grab another custom. I've only got one knife here, and I have 200 people who would really like to buy it for the table price, which is, let's say, $1,300 on this one. I can't obviously sell to 200 people, so what am I going to do? Well, everyone come over here and put your name on my list, and then put your phone number here, and then what'll happen is at the end of the first day or second day, or it'll state, ends, and they'll put, Saturday, 5 p.m. The information will be on the actual paper, but basically you're putting down your name and like a phone number, and if you win, then you'll be texted or called, and that's a lottery piece. And then if your name is called, guess what? You still have to pay the $1,300, and you still get, you get to buy the knife. If it's a super in-demand maker, then before you turn around, someone's already going to be trying to give you more money. That's a whole nother thing. But that's what a lottery is, and oftentimes at the shows, people think they've actually won a free knife. Definitely not the case. That causes some level of embarrassment. So another one might be like a deck of cards, and essentially they take a playing card and they rip it in half, and so you've got your, I don't know, your diamond or whatever, 5 of diamonds or something. And so when they pull that card or the half of it out of the hat, if yours matches, guess what? You get to pay the full price. You get to buy the knife, and everyone's happy. If they use one deck of cards, obviously it's limited to just 52 people, but again, in some instances, they may use 2 or 3 decks of cards. Obviously, the cards will be different, so they'd have to pull the exact 5 of diamonds that matches yours for you to win it. So that's the deck of card option. Next one is open bid. And this is where you see the prices get crazy for super in-demand makers. Again, it's just a piece of paper. You put down your name, your phone number, and the price you're willing to pay, and you just have to keep going back and checking, especially as it gets closer to the deadline. There'll be ends 5 p.m. Sunday, whatever. And so you either need to be there at the show to be able to write down your bids on the paper, or if they open it up to Instagram, then the maker's writing down people's bids and stuff on the paper at the same time, or Facebook. Again, if they may open it up to online, which oftentimes drives the price up higher. Is that fair? I don't know. I mean, again, if it cost me $1,000 to show up at the show, and you didn't come to the show, then you arguably have an additional $1,000 you get to put towards your open bid. Anyways, we won't get into the what's right and what's wrong, but food for thought. Open bid, Yeah, this is where all the big money happens. So this is the one that gets the 20,000 or the crazy prices. The next one is the silent bid, and there are different definitions for silent bids depending on the industry. But in a silent bid, you're basically putting in one piece of paper. You're putting down how much money you would pay for that, and whoever has essentially the highest bid in a silent bid wins the knife. Now, the difference between the open bid and the silent bid is obviously that you're not going head to head with some other collector. I mean, if it's just you and him at the end, and you guys are just keep bidding each other up by $100, and it keeps going back and forth and back and forth, you might really love the knife, but at the same time, there's this thing that kicks in where you don't want to lose. It might become less about the knife and more about winning, and this is something that people have studied or looked at with regard to things like eBay over the years. But anyways, you take that out of the equation, and so for a maker, they kind of get to see what people would actually be willing to pay when, I don't want to say ego, but that desire to win is kind of taken out of the equation. What is my work actually worth? Well, the silent bid is kind of a good way to gauge that. And again, if you're someone who's there and you're willing to spend money, but maybe you can't go up against someone else in a head-to-head and you're not trying to inflate the value, then again, silent bid is where it's at. So those are the, production. Those are some of the ways that the customs are acquired. Again, preparation is key. Makers will start talking about what they're bringing, if they have any first come first serve, what's going to be lotto, what's going to be open bid, what's going to be silent bid. They usually want their customers to know about that ahead of time so that they can be prepared. Or if you just walk up to the table, it'll tell you lotto piece, open bid piece, silent bid piece. It'll typically be clearly marked if the maker, if it's not their first show, if they've seen other guys do it. So it's not terribly confusing once you understand what these different options are. Now, the hard part is trying to, if you only bring in a certain amount of cash to the show, you have to decide, do I try to get these first come first serve pieces, or do I hold out and hope and cross my fingers, say a little prayer that I'm going to get called on a lottery piece for a maker that I really want their work from? And that I don't have a good answer for. You're going to run out of money one way or the other. If you hold out for the lotto pieces, it might turn out you don't win any lottos, and so you don't leave with any knives. Whereas if you had gone over to a maker you really like and got something off the first come first serve, well, you would have left with a knife, but then you don't have any money left for lotto pieces. Or you blow all your cash on first come first serve, then you get called for a lotto piece and you're out of money. Well, that's too bad. Hopefully you have a friend who really wants the knife, or someone's willing to loan you cash on the spot. So yeah, that's pretty much how buying knives at the shows work. At least at the knife shows, at the USN and at Blade Show and Blade Show West, and some of the smaller shows, this is really kind of the dynamic. Swap meets, anything goes, stuff like that. Gun shows where they sell knives. I mean, I don't even think they know what's going on. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Obviously, this benefits those of you who've never been to a show, or perhaps were unaware of all the different types of sales that can take place. So anyways, comments or questions, let me know. Hopefully this is what you were looking for. You can follow me on Instagram for daily content, and thanks for bearing with me through this video. Take care.